welcome to another Chatterfox review, and today we're going to review a relatively new movie that's adorable and noodly and just tries to punch you right in the feels. That's right, we're going to be talking about Raya and the Last Dragon. It's a story about a country divided by greed and hatred, and the weird group of heroes who show them a better way. Now, I'll try my best not to go into spoilers about this movie, but with everything in it, I have to warn you that I might spoil a few things. But that's also because they're key reasons why I like the movie so much. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, pause this video and go watch it! Now, we're gonna start with the characters, or rather the 5 heroes and the main antagonist, since they're super important to the story, and we're gonna mix it up a little and start with the antagonist. I know it's a little weird, but you'll understand why in a little bit. Anyways, since we're going to start off with the antagonists, we have to start with Namaari, who is the daughter of the Chief of Fang and is voiced by Jonah Xiao when she's young and Gemma Chan when she's older. I'm sorry if I messed up either of these names, I'm not really good at pronouncing things. Now, she is considered to be the main antagonist for the movie, and while she can be seen as that, she's technically not. She's a fiery, powerful young woman with a desire to do what's right, even to a fault. She fails to see that while what she's doing might be what she believes is right for her people, she fails to see one very obvious point. All 5 of the cultures stem from the same place, Kamandra. So, in other words, while she might be doing what's right for Fang, she's really not doing what's right for everyone. Now, I really do love this character, and I can't really get into why because spoilers, but she's definitely a character that if you're gonna watch the movie, you really want to pay attention to. Now, I really should point out that there are other antagonists such as Deng Hoon, the ruthless Talon Chief, voiced by Lucille Soon, or Matron Virana Fang, voiced by Sandra Oh, but none of them actually hold the title of the movie's true main antagonist better than the Droon. These emotionless, formless black and purple clouds of devastation are the real enemy here, but what are they exactly? Well, I'll go into that a little bit later on. Up next, we're going to talk about the protagonists, starting with the first character we actually see in the movie, Raya, who is the daughter of the Chief of Heart, voiced by Kelly Marie Tran. She is one of the 2 guardians of the Dragon Gem and is tasked with protecting the last remaining gift from the dragons when they banished the Droon over 500 years prior. Though early in the movie, an act of trust and betrayal leads to the Dragon Gem being shattered and things kind of get weird. The Dragon Gem being broken kind of releases the Droon, and each chief of one of the 5 nations takes a piece to protect themselves, and well, everything gets a little chaotic, and I did warn you! Sorry for the spoiler. Raya winds up going on a long journey to sort of fix the world, and she eventually sets in motion the rest of the events of the movie by finding our next character, Sisu. Sisu is a ancient fluffy blue noodle dragon voiced by Aquafina. Now I'm thirsty. Anyways, Sisu is literally the last of her kind, and at first she's seen as this legendary dragon who saved the world. But once Raya finds her and wakes her up from an unexplained 500-year nap, it turns out she wasn't quite as legendary as people thought she was. Or was she? I also kind of want to add in that her character looks like she'd be really fun to hug. Anyways, we'll talk about her character more in a little bit, but first, on to the next member of the hero group with Captain Boone. Voiced by Isaac Wang, Boone is the captain of a weird little shrimp-catching boat turned restaurant, and while he tries to be Mr. Cool, he comes off as a little dorky with his random dance moves and how hard he tries. Sisu even calls him Mr. Poppin' in the movie at one point. He's got a heart of gold though, and it shows. He would do just about anything for his friends. It's worth noting that this character represents Tail when it comes to the 5 nations. Up next we have Tong, a one-eyed barbarian from Spine who is voiced by Benedict Wong. A lot of people complain that his character isn't as fleshed out as others, but personally I think the story in what's shown is amazing. It shows that he was a loving father who lost his family, his friends, Heck, he lost his entire tribe to the Droon. It drove him all but insane, being alone with the statues and the memories of what happened, which is why he becomes so attached to his newfound friends. It's also worth noting that even with just one eye, he's the only one that figures out Little Noi's name, which, by the way, is our next character. Now, Little Noi is a tiny baby voiced by Thalia Tran, who, before being found by Raya in a very comical little scene in the floating marketplace of Talon, was being cared for by 3 little monkeys. The 4 of them actually act as a brilliant and clever team. They were able to give Raya a run for her money and are actually able to pull off some magnificent things in the movie. It's also explained that the reason why she's being taken care of by the 4 monkeys is because prior to the scene in which she meets Raya, her entire family was taken by the Droon. In fact, it's worth noting that every single one of the 5 protagonists has lost somebody they love to the Droon. But anyways, now that we've talked about the main cast, I want to talk a little bit about the plot. Again, I'll be spoiling a few things, so you've been warned, but at the same time, I want to point a couple things out, since they're the reason why I liked this movie as much as I did. First thing to note is that the name Kumandra is brought up a lot. It's the name for the country in which the story takes place before the country was divided into the 5 nations, and given how diverse the country is as a whole, not just geographically but culturally, it's fun to think of what kind of place Kumandra had been before the nations were divided. It's also brought up as sort of an ideal world, and an ideal outcome for what would happen if the nations learned to work together again. Each of the nations individually has problems that could be solved by simply asking for help from one of the other nations. I also want to point out that I love the way they named the 5 nations, since each one is named after a different body part of a dragon, and their country's map even centers around a massive river that looks like a dragon. It's almost like the main theme of the movie was dragons. Go figure. Now, I've said earlier that I want to talk about both the Droon and Sisu a little more, and the reason I bring this up is because of a line in the movie. When asked where the Droon came from, Sisu explained that they've always been there, that they're a product of human discord, and that they're like the opposite of dragons, which means that by that logic, it would make dragons creatures of harmony. This actually explains why Sisu was seen as the legendary dragon she was, even if she didn't understand it herself. The love and trust that her family had in her allowed her to tap into an incredible power that she never knew she had. Now, throughout the movie, she explains that every dragon has a unique power and that her power was to swim really well. Personally, though, I like to think that her true power is more like being a catalyst. When the people around her work together in harmony, her unique power is to amplify their efforts into something absolutely phenomenal. Anyhow, I really could go on and on about this movie. I love this movie so much, but for now I'm going to end my rambling on this one, and honestly, it's the first review I've done that is going to get an 11 of 10 paws! This movie has so many powerful messages in it, and while a lot of them might be portrayed in cliche ways, they are nevertheless things that so many people should learn. If you still haven't seen this one, go see it right away. Share it with a friend or family member and get ready for an amazing experience. For now though, I hope you enjoyed the review and I hope I didn't spoil too much for you. And until next time, bye!
Oh yeah, I want to show our patrons some love too because they're awesome. Their contributions help us to afford all the neat stuff we use to record. So thank you. And if you want to become a patron too, you can click the link down in the description. You'd really be helping the channel out and you'd get a couple nifty goodies too. Anyways, if you made it this far in the video, then yay, you're amazing. By the way, subscribe. Please don't make a foxy beg.